What is good, all of our listeners and viewers? Welcome back to another episode of Games and Groceries. My name is Adam.
And I'm Liz.
And I can't believe I tell adults to wear their masks. Whoa! We're here with episode 109. We're going to be talking about, hey, is it okay to criticize a video game? But first, we've got some segments for you. Yeah, we do. Yeah. So, Liz, how you doing?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I had a long day.
A long day?
No, it wasn't even a long day. It was like just really dead at work. And then my boss was very nice and bought me lunch.
Yeah.
And it made me really sick.
Oh.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
And it's kind of raining out, so...
And yeah, so I have a migraine because of the rain, and it's going to rain all weekend, which is why I'm not getting any relief from it raining, because usually, like, when it starts raining, the air pressure releases and it goes away. But it's going to rain all weekend, which means the air pressure is that built up that my headache has gotten worse today. So yay. So there's that. So I have a stomach ache and a headache.
Yeah.
But I got out of work early.
Yeah.
So we get to record early, and if I can get some migraine relief in me, maybe I can edit tonight.
Wow.
Woo!
So, yeah.
Glorious life here.
So before we get into our segments, we have a new video out, and it was actually an accident.
Well, it wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
It was caused by it went out because of an accident.
So yeah, the video skit that we were gonna do, we forgot to turn on the lav mic, and we were just like, oh, we want to put something out anyway, and I just wanted to talk about toxicity in the gaming industry anyway. So why don't we just do like kind of a chill video? And it turned out really good.
Yeah.
Like, I love that video.
Yeah, I was quite proud of it.
And it was just
even though it was probably the easiest edit I've probably ever done.
Yeah, a lot of people really enjoyed it. And I think I'm going to go alternate in between. When I mean alternate, if I can't think of a good skit, I might, do a talking video. Mm-hmm. But if there's a good skit idea, I'm going to do that, and vice versa. It's just kind of going back and forth with that, mm-hmm. because I want to present good content. We want to give out the best that we can do. But yeah, it was actually really well done. Like, I just love the edits. And
thank you.
And I think I was thinking of it kind of separated the video essays, where we had skits with the video essays and then we had talking points. So it's kind of like a deconstructed old video essay from us, where I get to talk about video games, but we also do skits.
Yeah.
But so if you haven't yet, definitely check it out. It's is the gaming community becoming too toxic? I'll probably link it right up here. But definitely check it out. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, it's really good for last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good in general, but the fact that it's last minute is impressive.
Yeah. So before we get into our segments, let's just remind everybody, hey, we're on social media and we're on Twitter at Gaming Groceries, but you can also follow us individually. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
You can also follow us there, individually. Be friends with us there, but also follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, where you could see a little behind-the-scenes photos sometimes, some stories, some fresh stories, and, some questions of the week that we'll answer on the podcast. And check us out on Facebook. But Facebook, it's right there. We also upload videos to Facebook. Definitely check that out. And our website. Definitely check out the website, gamesandgroceries.com, where you can listen to all the podcasts from the website, as well as find out where all the audio versions of the website, of the podcast. I can get it right one week. I swear to you.
I believe in you.
And definitely understand that there are times that, I don't know why I said please understand. But there are timestamps to this podcast. If you want to just jump forward, go ahead. It's your podcast. It's the American podcast. Timestamps are there for you, whatever you want to do with the podcast. And if you haven't yet, if you're watching us on YouTube, hi, how you doing? You doing good? Cool. You should subscribe to the channel so that you know when all these podcast episodes come out, as well as our weekly videos that we put out, and hitting a notification bell. If you enjoy what you see in this podcast, definitely give it a like and a share so that more people know about it. And if you're on audio, definitely leave us a review on Podchaser and on iTunes. Leave us some honest feedback and 5-star reviews. So honest feedback, and then also a 5-star review. But yeah, definitely give us some honest feedback, and put us up in the rankings there.
Yeah.
So with all that said and done, let's just jump into our first segment with our first segment.
Movie Minutes.
Movie Minutes is a segment that we talk about the movies that we watched in the past week, whether it be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime. Oh, no, not really in theaters at this point in time. And we like to review it or not recommend it to you. I don't know. But we have 5-point recommendations for you. The 5 points start at avoid at all costs, pass, enjoyable, solid, and perfect for us, not objectively. So, this week's movie. Oh, I forgot to change the slides again. Good job, professional podcast. Here we are. Boom. Subscribe to the channel. But this week's Movie Minute is, of course, My Spy, which is found on Amazon Prime, starring David Bautista. Hey.
Hey, Adam.
Oh,
Bad.
sorry. But yeah, it is starring Dave Bautista and other people.
A new young actress. She was in a couple things around the same time as this movie coming out. I think I caught her name was Chloe Coleman.
Oh.
And she's adorable.
Yeah, so let's do opening thoughts.
I wanted to see this movie when I saw the trailers for it. Well, I wanted to see it, but I was like, I don't know if I want to spend money to go see it in theaters.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because it was a little iffy movie. It's actually not as much of a children's movie as I thought it was.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about that a little bit.
I thought it was a kid's movie, and I was like, oh, it's not really it's not adult, but it's not. I wouldn't have my 6-year-old watch it.
Yeah,
I think the oldest I would go the youngest I would go is 10.
I agree.
10 and up.
I agree.
But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very cute movie. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it.
So let's go into our notes here. Now, what I like about this movie is that each main character, let's put that, not the secondary or the tertiary characters, each of the main plot point characters, they have their simple setups, right? You got Dave Bautista, he's a CIA agent, but he's on the ropes, whether or not he should be CIA. Then you got the little girl character, who she moves back and forth. She lost her dad. Yada yada. You have the mom. It's all very simple setup, but very effective setup.
Yeah.
It has a very basic plots that we've seen before, but surprisingly not cringy.
No, it's not cringy and not even too predictable.
Yeah, that's the thing. It wasn't.
I didn't find myself saying, and then this happens.
Yeah, it's a story we've seen before, but it's not incredibly formulaic, I think is the word.
I have no idea.
Yeah, but it doesn't follow the same formula, same beats, but it has been done before, if that makes any sense. But what do you think about that?
It is relatively pacifier-ish.
I was going to say, I was trying to figure out which movie this reminds me of. It reminds me of Pacifier. Yes.
Which was an amazing movie. And it doesn't even have the same storyline. It's kind of like a reverse of Pacifier.
Yes. I was trying to think what this movie reminds me of.
The roles are kind of opposite.
Yes.
But it still very much reminds me of the Pacifier. But it is still very good. And it's not the Pacifier. It doesn't do the Pacifier scene for scene.
Now, talking about the beats of this movie is that it is a typical daddy, father figure, I should say. I was going to say daddy-daughter comedy duo, but it's a father figure, daughter figure, kind of comedy duo. And here's the thing about this movie is that you watch the trailer, you know exactly what you're going to get in for.
Yeah.
And the trailer doesn't really lie to you.
No.
It doesn't.
Which is nice because a lot of trailers do these days.
Yeah, you watch the trailer, you can watch the trailer and know exactly what's going to happen in this movie and how it's going to set up and the tone. And it doesn't lie to you. It just says, here's what this movie is. And it doesn't try to get too deep. And that's the thing, is that it knows what it is.
Yeah.
It knows exactly what it is. And, I enjoyed that part of it is that we know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it that it's a typical, father figure and daughter comedy duo kind of thing. Kind of like The Pacifier was.
Yeah.
And my last note was it's a very charming movie and it's handled well. There are some cringe moments. Like they said, I noticed this straight away. When did this movie come out? It came out this year. It
come out this year or the end of last year?
No, it came out this year.
Okay.
It came to Amazon Prime in June, but it was supposed to release in May.
Okay.
It came out this year, and they called YouTube views hits. And it's like, oh wow, that got 1 million hits. I was like, oh, that's not what we call it anymore.
Yeah.
So, boomer directors. But yeah, so it's there are some cringy moments. I will say that, not as much as a Sonic movie does, but I think it's a charming movie. It's cute. It's handled well. It's what I call this movie. It's wholesome.
Yes, I do think it's funny is that who like paid for this movie.
Oh yeah.
Because their product placement is not subtle.
It's not subtle at all. Like there was like very first scene, one of the characters is eating Doritos, but her hand is like under the bag so you can clearly see Doritos.
Yeah. That, and at one point towards the end, the mom is like, I'm tracking her on my iPhone. Like she didn't say I'm tracking her on my phone, on my iPhone. I'm like, who says that?
Yeah. There's like, I'm tracking her from this, and then like there's definitely like not subtle placement. So that brings us to our final ratings of this. In our 5-point scale, where did you put this?
I gave it a solid.
A solid.
Yes.
Which is in between enjoyable and perfect. Solid.
Yeah.
It's like a high recommendation.
It's not perfect, but I really like this movie. I would watch it again if a friend wanted to watch it, or if I just wanted like if I was going to take a nap or something, I'd be like, I'll just turn this on.
Yeah.
Like I can listen to it, but I don't need to watch it. Like I wouldn't mind it being on. If it was on TV, I'd watch it. I don't know. Like just one of those movies that it's like, I'm not going to go out of my way to watch it, but if it's on or something.
And you were teetering between solid and perfect.
Yeah.
You were.
Because there are like some very minor flaws with it. And that's what got me. It was like the one scene, the mom has a Scion car.
Oh, yeah.
And this mom is just a nurse who just lost her husband a year ago. They moved to Chicago from Paris because that's where they lived. And I'm like,
yeah,
she can't. And if you look at their apartment is not like the most amazing apartment in the best neighborhood. This woman cannot afford a Scion.
My goodness.
I'm like, this is not predictable at all.
Well, that's product placement for you.
Exactly.
So I gave it, out of our 5-point scale, right in the middle and enjoyable.
Yeah.
I wouldn't pass this movie, but I wouldn't say it's solid for me. I enjoyed this movie. And that's all I'll kind of give it, is that it's enjoyable. You put it on, it's on Amazon Prime. I think it was an hour 40 minutes. I enjoyed my time with it. I got some laughs and giggles.
It was a good free family movie.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was a good free family, very wholesome film.
Yes.
It's not my type of movie, so that's why I didn't give it a solid.
You're not really into the family movies.
Not really, but I did enjoy it. Like, that's the thing. I'm not into family movies. I enjoyed it. So, but yeah, that's our review of My Spy. It's on My Spy. It's on Prime Video. You can check it out. It stars Dave Bautista, which you know him from the Guardians of the Galaxy movies and also WWE. But yeah, I enjoyed it. You gave it a solid.
Yep.
That's that.
Yep.
So let's just move on to some video game stuff. How do you say?
Okay.
So let's just jump into it with our next segment.
Top 3 Gaming News.
The top 3 gaming news is the gaming news that we saw in the past week, and we like to rank it 3, 2, 1 just to give you a condensed version of what's going on in the gaming industry. Liz, oh my God, what's going on? What's going on in the gaming industry?
Sims.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I almost had a heart attack there. But yeah, so start with the number 3 gaming news in the past week is there's a Sims reality game show.
Yeah.
It's called Sims Sport.
Yeah.
Why? It's just why.
It feels very, from the trailer I watched, I don't think I watched trailer with audio, but
yeah.
It seems very
like Lego Masters.
Yeah, Lego Master-esque.
Yeah, so
like they're like, oh, if Lego can do it, maybe we can.
that's what my first note was, that Lego Masters became a decent success.
Yeah, a lot of people were watching it.
Yeah, like Sean Chandler was watching it, so but
we watched it.
yeah. And with big successes, decent successes, come other opportunities, you know, like, oh, I understand now what the audience wants. And there's 12 competitors in this game with several timed creative titles. In fact, let me read this timed activities. So let me read this quote right here from the article linked down below. All articles linked down below in the description if you want to read for yourself. But it says, it sounds like an absolute dream for millions of gamers. I guess. Take on challenges in The Sims 4, not The Sims 5, by the way, and compete for $100,000. A dozen contestants will do just that in a reality show that's set to debut in TBS this week. It says next week, but this week, as you're watching this, in The Sims Sparked, competitors will tackle several time creative tasks with the aim of forging the most unique characters, worlds, and stories. So there's 12 competitors, but there's also a 4-part series. So that's going to be weird, but it premieres, if you're watching this live on Monday, it's going to be happening this Friday on TBS. Yeah. So, Liz, thoughts, take point.
So I was really excited. I'm not sure how this is going to go. And I was like, I want to be on this show. But then I was like, I'm not very good at Sims compared to others because I'm very scatterbrained. I'm like, this is their story and we're going to do this. And then I get bored and I'm just like, family, because I get bored and I want more characters.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see how it goes. I really hope it's not as bad as it sounds. Because it doesn't sound like the best, most interesting show.
Well, like TBS does it. It does it okay. Like, especially Turner. Like, they do decent jobs at what they do. Like, that's the thing. Yeah. Fox handled Lego Masters very well. And TBS, I would say, or any kind of Turner channel, it's like, it does its job. That's all I can describe it as.
So I'm just curious of how it turns out. Like I said, it doesn't sound like amazing, but it's good marketing because there are a lot of people that still play Sims. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a whole community. Like, there's tons of YouTubers that do Sims. And I watched a YouTuber like this morning. She built her dream house. I'm like, I want to build a house like that. Because I'm still working on how to build a nice house.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten better since I started with Sims 1. But I'm still working on building a nice house and learning what I can actually do.
What's going to be interesting to me is, like, how many people are they going to vote off? It's a 4-part series with 12 competitors. I read the article twice. And I was like, maybe they have it wrong. Maybe there's more parts to it. But they said a 4-part first season. I'm like, either the episodes are super long or they just like, you're trash, you're trash, you're trash, next.
It's like each episode 3 go. Like, there's different, like with each task someone leaves. Like, maybe there's 3 tasks in each person. Someone leaves from each task.
Maybe.
I'm not sure.
So we'll see. But yeah, it's happening this Friday if you're watching this. It's going to be released weekly. And we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
You excited for it, though?
I'm excited to see what it's like. I have to remember to record it.
Yeah. It's going to be odd.
It's going to be weird.
Yeah, Turner shows, they don't do
You going to watch it with me?
Yeah, of course.
Woohoo.
Yeah. So that brings us to our number 2 gaming news, and that's, it's about the Xbox! Oh, your boy's an Xbox boy! Hooray! But Microsoft is apparently really making a power move here, and I'll explain that in a bit. But they're saying that all smart delivery games, any games that's going to transfer to the Series X, must be free. Do not charge it like a DLC. So smart delivery was a big announcement that lets all the games that you own on Xbox One, if it's a next-gen title, and you can basically port it over to the Series X without buying the Series X version, which we're starting to find out that the Series X versions are going to cost $70.
Yeah.
So if you already bought it for $60, you're going to have to shell another $70. Yeah. Microsoft is like, no, not in my house, because now they're Matumbo. But they say all the upgrades should be free. And they're telling all publishers this, that do not charge them for, porting it over to the Series X. So this is pretty big. And before I get into my other points, let me read this one quote. So, in a statement to Video Game Chronicles, a Microsoft spokesman said that the developers and publishers ultimately decide how they deliver their games, and we will work with them to provide the best possible experience based on their needs. There's such a power move here, and let me explain this why. Developers and publishers, they are the ones to decide, and we will work with them to best fit their needs. This is such a power move for the consumer, because it says, like, listen, no. It's not Microsoft's fault that you have to pay another $7. it's this person that we don't own, because you know that all
Yeah.
Xbox studios like Obsidian,
Yeah.
like if they have another next gen game, I think Grounded might have a Series X version. So Obsidian definitely will have, an upgrade in that light. But like anybody that's not in the Xbox world, like a third party, like let's say Bethesda makes, I don't know, just out of the, out of my butt, Starfield coming out this year. It's not going to come out this year, but if that comes out this year and they don't port it to Series X, for free, then it's like, oh no, it's not our fault. It's Bethesda's fault.
Yeah.
So it's a very big power move.
It is.
That really ultimately affects, myself, consumers.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a good move on Microsoft's part to be like showing that they care about their customers, saying like, we don't want you to shell out all that money. Like, you already shelled out the money for this game. Why buy it again?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely a power move.
It
like
is.
saying like, it's not my fault. They're the ones making you pay for it again.
That's the thing, is that a lot of people love to believe that big corporate just loves and cares for you. Oh, give me a little smooch. Mwah. Phil Spencer doesn't know who you are. Stop kidding yourself. He is all about, and I put this in my notes, it's all about brand loyalty. It's a huge push for brand loyalty. They don't care who you are. They don't know me. I hope Phil Spencer knows me someday. I hope I can sit down with him and interview him. But I'm just stupid. But anyways, he doesn't know you. Big corporations don't know you. This always has a string attached, and what string is attached? Brand loyalty. Your boy is already loyal to the Xbox brand. I know. Oh, you should go to PlayStation. I'm already I'm already stupid enough, so I'm an Xbox. Sue me. But that's the thing, is that I think this is a smart move, like you said, on Microsoft. And it is a smart move to like say to consumers, like, hey, it should be free. And, there's really no strings attached to us in the terms of monetary ways, but it is strings attached in the say of like, look, we're the good guys. Yeah. They're the bad guys.
Yeah.
But, you know what they say, competition just benefits us.
Yeah.
So, anything else to add to this?
No.
Yeah.
Don't have much to say about it.
Yeah, no, like it's a pretty big news. This is why I put it at number 2. That if you bought an Xbox One, you get it for free, essentially, maybe on Series X, since next gen games are going to cost $70. Oh,
yeah.
But I know it is what it is. But yeah, so pretty cool on Microsoft's part. But and that brings us to our number 1 gaming news, and that is about Epic Games.
Yep.
It's about Epic Games, and apparently Sony has invested $250 million into Epic Games.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money, and it only buys them a minority share.
That's hilarious.
And I was just like, wow. So I didn't see in the article, all the articles are linked down below. Maybe I missed it, and I didn't put too much research into this, to be honest with you. But I wanted to see like how much of a percentage that $250 million got them. Because I want to say that at least got them 20%. But man, Epic is just, it's a big company. Because not only do they have Fortnite, but they also have Unreal Engine, which in 2014 was, this is the research I did, by the way, 2014, it was in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most successful game engine.
Wow.
Yeah. So Tim Sweeney doesn't screw around. So they got Fortnite, they got Unreal Engine, they got the Epic Game Store, they got that Fortnite money alone.
Yeah.
So $250 million. It's probably just like, oh yeah, you're welcome into our club. Thank you. I'll just put this in my pocket, and here's your 10% stake. I was like, what? But that's beyond me. I'm not a businessman. But anyways, Sony invested it. And it's more, what's interesting about this is that they didn't outright buy Epic because, 1, who can afford to buy Epic?
Yeah.
My goodness. And 2, they kind of worded it in a way of like, this is a way to collab someday, do some collabs. Yeah. And let me read this. It's a longer quote, but I think it's an important one to read. This is from, CEO of Sony, Sword Incorporation, Kenichiro Yoshida. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. But it says, he says, Epic's powerful technology in areas such as graphics places them at the forefront of game engine development with Unreal Engine and other innovations. There's no better example of this than the revolutionary entertainment experience, Fortnite. Okay. Through our investment, we will explore opportunities to further collaboration with Epic to delight and bring value to consumers and the industry at a large. This is the crazy part, not only in games, but also across the rapidly evolving digital entertainment landscape. And Tim Sweeney goes on to say that, yeah, we want to collab in also movies and music, not just in games. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But I love how he says, like, oh, yeah, the Unreal Engine, it's so powerful. And nothing really shows that off than Fortnite. And I'm like,
well, they couldn't go naming a different company's game.
I guess. I'm like, I guess so. But, but yeah, Unreal Engine is in a lot of different games. By the way, if you're watching our podcast, we're most famous for Life is Strange. Guess what Life is Strange is run on? Unreal Engine. Life is Strange Season 1 and 2 are on Unreal Engine. Before the Storm is on Unity. But Unreal Engine is just a powerful thing. And even they said in this article that Unreal Engine 5, that demo gameplay, that was run on PS5 hardware.
Woohoo.
So what they're saying is that, like, hey, listen, we bought a minority stake. We can't afford to buy you. But, here's some opportunities that we can, get together, maybe collab a little bit, play a little nice here, What do you think about all this?
I want to know how much opinion they really get with a minor stake.
Well, like, that's the thing is that if you give enough money, I think, and with the stature of Sony. Yes.
But I'm just saying.
So again, I'm not really a business person, but I think they're in like the advisors club. They don't really have a say in anything. Like, it's not like they bought 50% of the company.
Yeah.
Which gives them like the right to be like, no. But 25%, let's say, it's probably like closer to like 15%.
It'll get them some exclusives.
That's the thing. I think this is going to really go into exclusives for like, and especially like when EA started to use Frostbite a lot. That's because they invested a lot into the Frostbite engine. And I believe, no, EA actually owns Frostbite. I'm stupid. Anyways, but this is going to give them exclusive rights almost to Unreal Engine. It's really going to get them into like Epic Game Store, especially collabing them with Fortnite and the PS5.
Yeah.
But also with these movies and music. I don't know what he's talking about there.
Yeah, well, I'm curious to see where they go.
Yeah, so maybe they'll make a Fortnite movie.
Oh, I hope not. That'll be horrible.
But yeah, so it's kind of interesting that Sony puts this much money down on Epic Games. So we'll see what that does for the PS5. But they noted, they very much noted that that Unreal Engine 5 thing that was run on PS5 hardware. So we'll see. That's kind of crazy though. $250 million gets to a minority stake in Epic Games. But that's top 3 gaming news of the past week. Going to Sims. What was it called?
Sparked.
Yeah, Sims Sparked. Are you going to watch it? Are you interested in it? Write in the comments down below. Microsoft telling all publishers to make smart delivery free. Is that a good thing? Is it just brand loyalty? Does it just have a power move? Or is there more to it? Write in the comments down below. And Sony buying a minority stake in the Epic Games for $250 million. What do you think about all that? Do you think it's a good thing? What do you think that's going to come out of it? Write in the comments down below. So, I think that brings us into our final segment. What do you think?
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. So, with all that said and done, let's just go into our final segment. Every single week here on the Games and Groceries podcast, we like to have little gaming industry topics, whether it be about female gamers or the game preservations, about, physical video games. I don't know. But every single week, we like to talk about it here on the final segment of Games and Groceries. But we usually have guests here on the podcast. But, we want to take a couple week break in between. It's because we're introverts.
Yeah.
But next week we should have a guest on.
Yeah.
But we'll work on it and we'll let you know who it is in secret. But with all that said and done, let's just talk about this. This week we're talking about, should video games be criticized at all? And I want to go into first the definition of what we want to talk about criticism, right? So what is the main difference between giving constructive criticism and just being a plain hater? What do you think? Oh, no, my pen.
I think constructive criticism is not like nitpicking, but like just pointing out like, hey, did you think of doing it this way?
Yeah.
Like, was that a possibility? Or what was like asking a good question as to like, why was this the path that was chosen?
Yeah. Okay.
Like what made you make that? And just flat out hating is like, you should have done this. And like, I didn't like that. Like, it's more a, like your personal opinion, instead of just saying like, like criticism can kind of come from your opinion, but it's more of like, I don't know how to me it's like the way you phrase it, the way you say it.
It goes back to the phrase, it's not what you said, it's how you said it.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of people where I think that they don't have a lot of emotional quotient, right? They don't have a lot of like emotional intelligence.
Yes.
Right. And they say, look, well, I'm just trying to help you. And it's like,
oh, I hate when people say that. I'm just trying to help you. It's like, clearly it's not working.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that like we're trying to make this definition before we even go forward, just because this is a big thing, especially going to criticizing video games, right? And I believe that's, the difference between constructive criticism and being just a hater is mainly just the difference of like what you said. It's the way you say it, but it's also, is this trying to lead to a better game, or is this you just being upset because you didn't get your way?
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is. Like, I've had some criticism here on the podcast, and there have been a lot of good constructive criticisms about the podcast, but then there's, I can tell right away where it's just kind of like, not like, oh, you're just a hater, but it's more of just like, well, this is the way I want it. And I'm like, well, it's our show.
Yeah.
So, but do with it what you will. But I think it goes into criticism of video games too, where are you trying to lead to a better game, or is it just that, this isn't my video game? It's not, dude.
Yeah.
It's not. It's straight up not. I love the criticisms behind Assassin's Creed even, where it's like, I don't like Assassin's Creed. Why? It's too boring. Well, then don't play Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
Like when Assassin's Creed Odyssey came out and was for the masses, the masses were like, I love Assassin's Creed now. Like, no, you don't. You just like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is that we need to really draw the line there. That there is constructive criticism.
Yeah.
But then when we're talking about games right now, it becomes toxic and haters.
Yeah.
And it just becomes a little too much, you know? So when we talk about video games even, talk about my next note here. When we talk about criticism of video games, where do you think we can talk about criticisms and dislikes about the game? Like, what parts of the game can we criticize?
I would say the, like, I don't know how to explain it.
Almost
Sorry,
like,
my brain is not working today.
yeah.
It's not working with me. But, like, you can't criticize the artistic parts. Like, the story, you just don't like, if you're going to criticize story, you just don't like the story.
Yeah.
But it's the details. Like, you can criticize the, like, gameplay.
Well, I think you can criticize story. I believe, like, that's the way we criticize movies, you know?
Yeah, it's just, like I said, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, you can
But, like,
criticize it.
the direction of that story, are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, you can, like, critique the story, like, but you can't say this game is horrible. Like, I don't know how to explain it. My brain's not working.
Jeez. Let me get my thoughts and maybe you can
Yeah.
like piggyback off of it.
Yeah.
But in terms of story, I think you can criticize it in terms of like it wasn't well paced. And that's the thing.
But to me, that's almost gameplay.
No, like pacing the story. It's
Yeah.
like you got to a piece of the story. Like let's say there's
Yeah,
story,
okay.
gameplay, and then you got to the story, and the pacing wasn't well.
Yeah.
I think really good criticisms of Last of Us Part 2 came from Jim Sterling and Angry Joe Show because they clearly gave what they didn't like. And Jim Sterling, he quoted that the pacing of Last of Us Part 2, which we didn't play yet, by the way, the pacing of, I spoiled it for myself, so but the pacing of Last of Us Part 2, he said it was a bit too long. In fact, Jason Schreier just tweeted, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter. Jason Schreier tweeted, video games are too long. That's all he said.
I agree.
Video games are too long. And Troy Baker, who is pretty much the voice actor in the gaming industry, Troy Baker and who's the other one? Oh, I can't remember. It will come to me. Troy Baker and somebody else. But Troy Baker is the voice of Joel in Last of Us, in Last of Us Part 2. But he put this like quote picture, right? It's basically saying that like it's not the people in the stands that can criticize the gladiators in the Colosseum, but the gladiators in the Colosseum because they pour the sweat and blood, blah blah blah. And I'm like, dude, stop. Like, it was so dumb. But all Jason Schreier said was too long. And that
Yeah.
goes into Jim Sterling's criticism of Last of Us Part 2, where it wasn't edited well. And us going into YouTube, there is and he said, like, I love the editing process because it takes this very long thing and it puts it into a concise,
Yes.
argument or a discussion. Like the last video that we put up, is the video game industry too toxic or gaming community, whatever I titled it. It was a 16-minute video raw, but you cut it down to 10 minutes.
Yep.
And that's the thing. The pacing of the story becomes too long.
Yeah. Or even like the video essays we used to do. Those used to be an hour worth of footage that was cut down to 20 minutes or less.
Yeah. But I think the pacing of the story now in terms of what I don't think me and you, Lizzie, not like gamers alike, but I think I don't think we can criticize, right, is the technical specs of a video game. Like saying that like, oh, well, this polygon wasn't in the right place because, as you heard from that sentence, I don't know. Like,
You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what I'm talking about. So, like, if I just say that, oh, the technical specification of this game, it wasn't too concise, blah, blah, blah. I don't think me and you can do that because we don't
Like
understand.
the everyday Joe Schmo.
Yeah,
But
like,
we do criticize games based on the glitches, though.
I think, couldn't we criticize glitches?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they put out an unfinished game.
I was talking to my friend. Can I say his name? Maddie. But I was talking to Maddie about this, like how it doesn't. What's wrong about glitches isn't what it frustrates me with. Like there are glitches in video games. You're not going to get past.
Happen. They're not going to catch all of them.
Right. There is no perfect video game. But if a game becomes way too glitchy, and not just that, but way too laggy, I feel like it just takes the immersion, just rips you right out of the immersion section.
Yeah, because you have to reboot the game to get out of it sometimes.
Yeah, and
I know on Sims, I added
Mhm.
what was the most recent package I got? The seasons.
Yeah.
And since then, I will randomly have Sims stuck standing on a counter.
Yeah.
And I have to, not even restarting the game works. I have to delete the counter to get them off of it.
Yeah, and I think things like that impede your gameplay, right? Like glitches or corrupted save files. I think that can be a very concise criticism for a game because it's just like, oh, you gave an unfinished product and that impedes my enjoyment.
Yeah.
But in terms of technical like aspects of the game, like, oh, the the footprints don't go in the right place, or this
Yeah.
person,
Or like the talking isn't exactly perfect.
Because I was gonna say I'm not really an audio person. We're doing a podcast right now. But in terms of the technical specifications, I don't like to go too much into that, just because I don't feel like I'm qualified for that. And just like when I'm criticizing food, or even like a movie, like more or less food, I know what goes into that food.
Yeah.
But somebody who is just a Joe Schmo, has never cooked in his life, he can only cook cereal. It's like, oh, well, it was just a tad too much cilantro.
Or like I became much more critical of waitresses after becoming a waitress.
Yes, yeah.
Like after I was a waitress, I'm just like, that was very easy and you messed it up.
Or like, oh, yeah, I understand their hardships.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a developer, so I don't know how hard it was.
Exactly.
Right? So I don't like to get into that. But in terms of story, pacing, and all that, story, not just that, but also the way the game feels, right?
Yeah.
Is there weight to my actions, right?
Yeah.
I guess that goes into technical specifications, but
for me, I think I figured out the story part that I was trying to talk about.
What's
it's
that?
The story. Like when you're reading a book.
Yeah.
You can't criticize the story. That just means you just don't like the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can't, that's not constructive criticism. You just didn't enjoy it. Move on. That's my opinion.
I think here's my thing. So I blew my mind. I blew my own mind. But I think that the only way you can criticize a game is if it impedes your enjoyment for a game.
Yeah.
I think. Because, like, let's go into the technical specifications, right? I'm not really a techie, so I don't really get bothered by that. But somebody who is and is a developer and knows exactly what is going into the game, does that impede your enjoyment? And talk about that. Why does it impede your enjoyment?
Yeah.
I have very little patience for glitches or lagging, and it impedes my enjoyment. And I will criticize it, but like constructive criticism, or even the story. I'm very much a story-driven gamer, and if the story just is not involved and has no points, I will criticize it because it impedes my enjoyments.
Yeah.
Me. It's all about me.
I feel like I'm thinking of criticism differently.
Okay.
Because what I'm thinking of as criticism is what you said in the beginning was constructive criticism.
Right.
You not liking a story is not constructive.
Yeah, because story is subjective.
Yeah, exactly. If you say this story doesn't make sense,
right,
then that's constructive because you're saying something is missing in this timeline that you didn't catch.
Yeah,
but if it's just the story, you just don't enjoy the story. Like if it focused on a romance, you can't say that game is horrible. It's just not your game.
Well, what's crazy about this is that Last of Us Part 2 has been review bombed because of story decisions. Like, that's crazy to me. And are you familiar with review bombing?
No.
So what it basically is, basic, meat and potatoes of it, is that you go on any kind of like Metacritic or whatever, and before you even play that game, or Steam, you just go into the reviews and just give zeros, all around zeros.
That's mean.
Well, it's because you don't agree with the game and you didn't play it, but you have nothing positive. You're just boom, and you're just lowering the score of that game.
That's mean.
It is, and that's why Metacritic what did they do? I forget how they did it, but they kind of impeded people from keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's exactly why Netflix chose the percentages rather than the stars.
Yeah.
Because people did that.
Yeah.
On Netflix. But yeah, Last of Us Part 2 was a review bomb before people even played it, and it's all about story choices and became super toxic to the point that people gave death threats to a voice actress, Laura Bailey, because they didn't like what her character did in the game.
That's just stupid.
It is. It's so dumb. Like, it's so dumb that they gave her death threats.
Like, she just did her job.
Yeah. Yes.
She didn't make any choices. She read a script. Leave her alone.
But like, my thing is that if you are going to criticize a game, and
you have to at least play it.
you have to at least play it. Or now, here's the thing: can you criticize a game by just watching a Let's Play, or do you have to actively play it?
I think think you can judge it from a Let's Play unless if it's strictly like decision based, like Life is Strange.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something you might have to play because you don't know all the things it can do if you're not the one doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like, I feel like you have to also play the game because there are some games out there where it feels awesome. Like, it feels awesome to play, but boring to watch.
Okay.
Kind of like golf, but or tennis, or bowling, or any.
Okay.
Yeah, poker. Anyways, sports I don't like. Anyways,
You like bowling?
but
I like bowling.
But that's the thing, is that I think you need to play them one, but like, yeah, like story choices, not even if the story flows well or wasn't edited, but it's like, I don't agree where the story went, but was it paced well? Did it open your mind to different things, right? I just listened to Rainbow Road podcast, their take on the Mass Effect trilogy, right? And their take on the story wasn't really my take.
Yeah.
But the story is subjective.
Yeah.
Like they went to say that like the Geth, which were, you know, the beep boop bops in the story, they were pretty much an outer race, and they tried to convert, you know, other people to believe their system, you know, where we're going with this, right? Them being an LGBTQ plus friendly podcast, you know, like they said, well, that kind of goes into the Catholic Church of conversion, right? And their take on it was their take.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say I disagreed, but it's like what I said.
You didn't think about it that way.
I didn't. Yeah, that's it. I didn't think about it. But if story is subjective, right, and you just say that like I didn't agree where the story went, that's not your story then.
Yeah.
Okay, so it took me 3 playthroughs of Gone Home to really appreciate the story, because the first time I played Gone Home, I was
we're like, what was that?
Yeah, we're like, that's a
That was so disappointing.
It was. But then my second playthrough and even my third playthrough, I'm like, dude, this is actually deep. Like, this is actually like super, like my goosebumps like went up, because it really is about Gone Home. Okay, I don't want to talk about it because Move on. Yeah, because the whole point of the story is a spoiler. So I don't really want to talk, but it is kind of moving because it's very relatable.
Yeah.
So playing that story again, but I didn't agree with it at first because I didn't understand what happened.
Yeah.
But playing it again, I was just like, okay, I think I get it. But in terms of like criticizing a game because you didn't like where the story choices went, or the direction of the move or direction of the sequences, right? Or even like the technical specs, like, oh, this game has one glitch in it. Like, why?
Yeah.
So I don't keep going back to story of the game. Can I criticize the story? Can I criticize that? But that's where my heart lies, right?
Yeah.
If you want to watch a really well done criticism of a game, ACG on YouTube, he does really good criticisms of games because he goes into the tech, the sound of the game, the audio of the game, the X factor of the game. He goes deep into like,
that's good.
Yeah, criticisms.
Because like I know like we used to watch CinemaSins.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it at first, but then the more we watched, he just nitpicked the whole thing, and it's like, that's a stupid criticism.
It is.
And then he'd ignore like the huge criticisms that were there.
Yeah. No.
And it's those things. It's like when you just tear it apart, it's like, all right, calm down.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's some things where I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. But 80% of the time, I'm just like, it's just nitpicking it at this point. He nitpicked Paddington.
I know.
That hurt my feelings.
I know.
So we did ask you on Twitter and Instagram and actually not Facebook this week, but I asked you on Twitter, how do you give criticisms to video games? And I want to read 3 answers that we have from, well, first we have Playable Characters Podcast. Hey, Brian, are you finally listening to this one? You boomer. But I want to see if he's actually listening. But Playable Characters Podcast, he has this to say. When a troll is complaining about everything from box art to gameplay and then even adding death threats for fun, it goes to show, it shows that you have no idea what goes into making a game. And you have no idea whether it's AAA or indie. it kind of drives me mad. And I've always been, if you don't like a game, move on.
Yeah.
And he's a big advocate for Google Stadia. And, criticism for that one, your boy. Sorry, Brian. But yeah, like when he says a troll is complaining about everything from box art to gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. If you don't like a game, move on. What do you think about that?
I 100% agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's pretty much what I've been saying. It's like when you're just throwing hate just to throw hate. Calm down. It's just not the game for you. And the box art, that's just stupid.
There's people who do it.
Okay, you don't like it. Who cares? That has nothing to... It's like literally judging a book by its cover.
I think it goes back to, my genius point. If it impedes your enjoyment, there's game collectors that collects box art. And if it impedes their enjoyment, sure. But give clear, which I'm going to get to in a bit because there's one comment I really agree with. But, say something you like about the box art instead of this is just trash. Blip.
And, give reasons why you don't like it at least, because most people aren't. They're just this is stupid.
Yeah,
and they don't give reason. Why is it stupid?
That's the thing, is that I want to hear why, and that's why I loved Angry Joe's criticism of Last of Us, and I watched the whole thing, not the discussion piece because that's boring, but I watched the Angry Joe review, the big skit one. He had some really clear and concise reasons why he didn't like it, and he still gave it a 6 out of 10, not even a 4. And he said what he enjoyed about the game.
Yeah,
I thought that was a brilliant review of Last of Us Part 2, even though I didn't play it yet. So, but yeah, no, it's you have to understand where they're coming from, and I like what Brian says. You don't even know what goes into making a game. So then we have at Commander Nikki, who says, I never really criticize games, quote unquote. I never really criticize it. She says, I rarely happen to play games that I dislike. So my point system is I don't like it. It's okay. Like it. Love it. And it's entirely my probably weird way of rating it. That's your way of rating it, Nikki. I mean, we have a weird way of rating movies. So, here we are. She also says, I'll sometimes look over points that people will say is a big negative, because sometimes I'll be all, yeah, you're right. That's not so good, but I don't care. For example, she said, for example, I'd love to enjoy The Witcher 3, but I'm not made for it. I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I just don't. Here's why I don't. Me too, Nikki, by the way. I just don't click with the game for some reason. Also, the on-screen text is too small for me, so I don't like it. And I'm with you. With Witcher, that's why I never really said The Witcher 3 is garbage. That's exactly it. With Nikki, it's I just didn't click with the setting of the game. That was me. I was I just didn't click with it. And I think it's a brilliant game. It's just that I played 25 hours of it, and I'm just I'm just not vibing with this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think about that? That she doesn't really criticize games. Her lowest point is I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I like that. I love that it's chill because when you think about things, you always think of the extremists, and of course, people who are giving death threats and commenting on the developers, saying this game is trash. Clearly, they're extremists who need to move on. Yeah. But most people are just no, I just don't like it. It's just not for me. And she's not trying to convince anyone to not like it. She's just I just don't like it. And I like that.
And she even says sometimes I'll hear something that's a negative. She says, yeah, you're right, but I don't care.
But chill out.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that there are some parts of my favorite video games that people don't like. Like Assassin's Creed, the very first Assassin's Creed, not Assassin's Creed 2, the good one, but I will always love Assassin's Creed. The very first one, people were just oh, it's too repetitive. The voice acting is kind of clunky. And I'm just you're right. I don't disagree. I don't care. Yeah. But she just goes on to say, and she seems to be a very positive person. I'm a very critical, and I'm also very cynical. I know in this podcast I'm very happy and joyful, but I'm also very cynical at times. So I do criticize a lot. but I don't really go out of my way to like tell people like don't play the game, it's stupid. Unless it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because piece of trash.
Jeez.
I don't really care if you play that, but I do. But yeah, no, good answer, Commander Nikki. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. But good positive attitude by you. And finally, we have from the ats. Oh, what is his at, by the way? Going back at Phoenix Edge RPG. That's it. But Phoenix Edge, it's another podcast on YouTube. Go check them out. They're more of a gaming news podcast, but really cool dudes. But yeah, so Phoenix Edge says 5 points to this, right? When I say, how do you give criticism to video games? Phoenix Edge says, 1, constructive criticism, which we talked about. What's the difference between that? Number 2, acknowledgement that there are differing opinions.
Yeah.
It's a big one. Number 3, don't exaggerate how bad it is. Yeah, that's a big one. Number 4, point out something you do enjoy.
Yes.
And finally, number 5, if a point has to be said, it has to be said. Don't beat around the bush in an attempt to not irk anyone. And I like that last point. Like if you don't like it, then don't be scared to share your thoughts.
Yeah.
Share your feelings.
If someone wants to like be like, why don't you like it? Like, and get all in your face, just let them get in your face. You're like, I just don't.
Yeah.
And just ignore them. They'll go away.
Well, like he's saying that like if there's a point that has to be said, like a criticism that has to be said, don't be afraid to actually say it.
Because it could make it better.
Yeah, because especially with Last of Us Part 2, I say this in my video, where people who criticize the game, they're just like, oh, you hate, all these different kinds of people. It's like, no, I didn't like this point about the game. It has nothing to do with that. I just don't like that part. But it irks people to hear it, that you don't like a certain video game. Like, oh man, I am not going to say that. I'll say it anyway. I was going to say like I don't like I don't like Game of Thrones. I think it's stupid. But no, I don't think it's stupid. I said this on the podcast once. Like I think people just take Game of Thrones a little too seriously.
Yeah.
And it's not at all like should be taken serious. Any show that takes itself too seriously, it kind of goes over the edge for me.
Yeah.
It has no kind of humor. It has no, like, we're rewatching Vikings.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take itself too seriously.
No.
But Game of Thrones also is just, it tries to be way too political. But I do enjoy that you enjoy it, Lizzie, because you like Game of Thrones.
And I didn't finish it.
Yeah. But, like that's my thing. But I like Phoenix Edge where he's saying that constructive criticism, acknowledging that there's differing opinions. I acknowledge that people like Game of Thrones. That's awesome. If you want to connect with it, that's great. I'm not trying to impede you from that. Don't exaggerate how bad it is, like I just did. But don't exaggerate how bad it is and point out something you do enjoy. I like that there's dragons. But point out something you do enjoy. But, like, that's the thing. I agree with that. That saying, like, there are differing opinions. And don't think that your opinion is the only opinion. I might not like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah. It's just not for you.
Yeah. We just interviewed Mr. Matty Plays, and he said he doesn't like Pokemon Snap, and he's wrong, but that's his opinion.
Yeah.
But, what do you think about all this?
No, I agree. I really like that. Because basically they said everything we just said leading up to reading that tweet. So I completely agree.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, so kind of like finishing out our discussion here. Here's the one thing I do want to say is that I feel like game companies, anything, right? If you're involved in a video game industry, you are subject to criticism. If you run, let's say, a video game podcast, hey, you're up for criticism.
Yeah.
If you put anything to the public eye, you are subject to criticism.
Yeah, I forgot to delete last week.
Camera 2, how you doing? So you're going to finish this out with camera 2.
Apologies. Told you my brain wasn't working today.
We're about to close that anyway. But
yeah,
I think that if you put anything in the public eye, then you have to be subject to criticism. But that's the thing, is that the criticism has to come after consuming the product. You can't just review bomb it. You have to actually consume it to actually, have some criticisms.
Or just say, it doesn't look like something I'd be interested in. You can't go into detail if you've never played it or watched it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing.
You just have to say, no, I didn't really have a desire to play it.
Yeah, and that's it. That's where it has to end on. But, like, that's the thing is that it's okay to not like a game, but it's not okay to just simply just hate people who enjoy it.
Yeah.
Or just be a hater.
Yeah.
I don't like people who just hate people who enjoy. Like, I don't hate people who enjoy Game of Thrones. I'm not going to say, like, oh, why would you watch it? Like, watch what you watch. I don't care. Or like with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I say it all the time. It's like, I don't care if you love Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That doesn't really impede me in any way.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I don't like people who don't like people who enjoy the game. You get what I mean?
I feel you.
Yeah. But yeah, any other thoughts before we close out?
Not really. My brain is officially dead. It's gone. It's out the window. I need a nap.
Yeah, that's the thing. Feel free to criticize games, but like we've been
nicely.
Do it nicely. Say something you do enjoy about it, and just let people enjoy what they enjoy and let people not enjoy what they don't enjoy. It's fine. Let's let the world go round and round.
Yes.
Don't let this thing make us even more divided.
Yes.
Because we're already in a divided state in the world.
We're good on that front.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're okay there. Let's just let video games be video games. There's other things that are going on in the world, but let's just talk about how we don't agree with Last of Us Part 2. Why don't we? So, let's just end it there.
Okay.
So you can, of course, follow us on Twitter at Gaming Groceries. Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Ace the Grocer.
And I'm at Journey First.
Follow us on Instagram, Games and Groceries, all one word, and Facebook. Find us on Facebook. And if you haven't yet, definitely subscribe to us on the YouTubes. If you're watching us on the YouTube, subscribe to us and give us all those hits instead of views. Like she said, like, wow, that has a million hits. But anyways, give us all those hits. If you enjoy this, definitely give it a like and a share so that we know you like these podcasts here. So with all that said and done, we thank you for listening to this week's episode. We hope to find you next week and have a safe week.
Bye.
Wear your mask.